Apocalypse Day, but that's fine. So this presentation is, it's a lot of complicated words, but it's about the analysis of pharmaceuticals in the heavy ionizing radiation. So a bit of background, on Earth we're protected by our magnetosphere. That's created by the shifting Earth's iron core. That creates a magnetosphere which blocks the heavy ionizing rays. Instead we're left with harmful X-rays and thermal rays that we get a bad sunburn. You know, when we go closer to the equator, when we've got less of a distance, we get more radiation. When we get further from the equator, we get less radiation. That's kind of the baseline for this. So, a challenge. We're in a new era of space exploration. Before, we have Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the ISS. These are missions that went up for 13 days, 18 hours, 34 hours. They're getting a lot of radiation when they're up there, but they're getting it for a much less time than these further deep space missions. Now, I mean, the most common one, the biggest one, was Apollo, where you had 12 days. The amount of radiation that they got on Apollo was insane. When we're looking at it today, we're thinking we have astronauts in the ISS for upwards of 6 months, and then we have now, hopefully with the Artemis program, astronauts going back to the moon, orbiting around the moon in Gateway, and potentially in the future going to Mars. So, space, I'm sure we're all aware, has a unique danger profile. Okay, when we go up there, just to technology, just to anything, we have rapid thermal equilibriums. We go from 100 degrees Celsius down to minus 60 degrees Celsius. That's just for any technology. When we look at the human body, it's terrifying. We lose a third of our blood when we go up into microgravity. Our brain changes shape. Our eyes freak out for reasons we still don't know. But focusing on the more radiation side, this is a little diagram that explained earlier. Our magnetosphere blocks it. We also have galactic cosmic rays and solar particle events. These are high energy alpha particles that travel through the galaxy. We can't map them. We have no idea of predicting when they're coming. All we can do is find out as soon as they're hitting. We can detect them with other satellites and tell astronauts in our space stations, it's coming, get behind lead shielding. Now lead is the best thing to slow it down because it blocks all of the alpha particles, but it's heavy. And the heavier something is in space, the more expensive it is to send up. So when we go down here, this is a complicated diagram that will be much more simplified in the next bit. This just tells you what happens with the galactic cosmic rays, and that's quite terrifying. It splits everything up. Now, a dose in space is significantly higher than Earth, and that's a given. So in a 6 month mission, you get up to 100 millisieverts, and even just under 2,000 millisieverts. Now, we should be getting around 50 millisieverts per year. That's the maximum. So to get anything above that, it's dangerous. It can lead to higher cancer rates, and just it can wreak havoc on our biology. So, what happens to medicine in space? This. Think of the bowling pins as our DNA or any organic compound. And think of the bowling ball as a heavy ionizing particle. This rips through our DNA, this rips through organic things, knocking it out. Now, for sometimes, this can just destabilize it and cause it, render it inert. Other times, this can knock out key particles or key APIs, active pharmaceutical ingredients, and make it into a pharmaceutical that is dangerous. So we want to avoid that. The impact of this is multiple different ways, direct and indirect. Direct is very much the bowling ball, goes through and knocks out cell death. Indirect will react with the oxygen or the hydrogen species there, knocking out other free radicals that then will impact the cell. This can lead to cell death, or this can lead to translation or a mutation in the gene. Now, spallation effect is a fancy way of saying when you roll that bowling ball and you hit one of the pins and it knocks into all the other ones. It knocks something off, which will then lead to that other damage. Our solution is quite simple. We send up a spectrophotometer, and with that spectrophotometer, we can analyze the radiation degradation. We can see how much it is being impacted over time, and with the radiation sensor on board, we can test when these things are happening, when galactic cosmic rays are occurring, when these massive solar particle events are happening, and we can link them up to the levels of degradation. Now, how do we do this? With the HERO Lab. It's a little concept design there. Now, the HERO Lab stands for the Heavy Ionizing Radiation Observation Laboratory. That's a lovely little name. Now, this leverages these degradation effects, and it uses a miniature spectrophotometer. So I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the physics, but what this essentially does, sends a beam of light through the substance. With the radiation, it will degrade the substance, so less of the light will pass through things, or more of the light will pass through things. From there, we get a spectra graph. Have you all seen the graphs where you have basically peaks, big lines across the full spectrum wavelength? That's what we get. From there, we can tell, depending on the rate of the peaks, how much the pharmaceutical has degraded over time. And of course, the main effect from this will be the radiation. Now there is a challenge of getting answers, because this is a very new field. In fact, it is so new that we are one of the first people to look at this, which is both a blessing and a curse, because A, we're the first people to look at this. We have a wealth of knowledge that we can gain from this. Problem is, no one else has done this, so we have to make everything from scratch. We don't have a lot of research to base this on. There's been one mission beforehand that was tested, an Australian mission from the University of South Australia, where they put ibuprofen on the International Space Station. They measured it over a span of 6 months, took it back down to Earth. They saw the results, and they were terrified, because they found that ibuprofen had decayed upwards of 60%. So that's like saying you go up there, you have a headache. If your ibuprofen, so that's called on a Nurofen, if that's been sitting on the space station for 6 months, you take that, your headache's not going away. Now we take that into caffeine. You drink a coffee on the space station, you're not going to get that caffeine boost. These are just the fundamental things. If we look further, if we start extrapolating, we can see when we have commercial astronauts, private astronauts going up in these space stations, the pill is not going to work as effectively. Medical research, medical things aren't going to work. The protein structures will break down. So we want to find ways of how we can test this using our partnerships with pharmaceutical companies. We want to build more reliable and stronger pharmaceuticals that can last longer, not just for space, but for Earth-based applications as well. So that's the basic overview of this. Do we have any questions, any areas to go more in depth? We've got a bit of time to do this. Any questions?
So, you're testing pharmaceuticals.
Yes. Similar things to yes, so similar to our body. Our body's different cells will react differently to radiation. The reason why we've chosen pharmaceuticals is because there's a wealth of on-earth testing knowledge that we can build upon. After we've done this knowledge testing with the pharmaceuticals, we want to apply this to a lot of biological samples, human cells, animal cells, and especially encrypted organs. So that's a key thing that I think you're sending into space. Instead of having to fly organs up if something going to go wrong, you'd be able to print them out. So yes, we want to test biological organisms, but pharmaceuticals is a perfect way for us to prove our concept and build them.
So the ibuprofen, you said 60% down after 6 months.
After 6 months, yeah.
Would that be the same for a person?
For a person,
regenerative or?
Yes, we are regenerative, so our bodies will reproduce that, but it gives a higher risk for any cancerous cells to occur. Humans are also behind radiation shields, so we're very conscious of that. With pharmaceuticals, they'll just shove you in a box somewhere. And if they want to protect it, then with their reasoning close to Earth, is we can just research. Humans are a lot more robust than pharmaceuticals, thank goodness. Otherwise, I doubt we'd all be here today. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Given the rate of nature of degradation, are you looking to build probability curves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to get as much knowledge as we can of radiation throughout different missions, through deep space and also the moon. Then we want to take it together and try and find if there's any probability curves with galactic cosmic rays, solar particle events, and kind of build a radiation map for future missions, not just for us, but for everyone.
Thank you, Gordon. That's a very good presentation. Now, you're looking at spectroscopy to analyse the chemical compounds there. Have you looked at any other types of technology?
Yes.
Planar electronics or devices, the electronic nose?
We've looked at a lot of different technologies for it. The reason why we landed on this one is because of cost. The cost effectiveness of a spectrophotometer is a lot cheaper than anything else, and with its reliability, we can send up a bunch of small samples in a 1U setting. We can fit 4 samples in 1U, which means we can get a wealth of data. It's a lot cheaper and it's a lot more effective. Once we have these proof of concepts, and once we have this larger revenue coming in, we can design larger products with more accurate things and more detailed testing for pharmaceuticals and other biological organisms.
Almost answered the question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Doctor, that's okay. Can you do on Earth